Good evening, guys. Let me know if the volume is okay. I think the stream is on a bit of a delay, worse than usual. It seems to be about a 10 to 20-second delay. I don't know what's causing that. I'm a bit of a boomer when it comes to this, so just let me know if the audio is okay. Can you hear my voice fine? Is there bad echo, etc.? I was messing around with the recording settings today because I was recording another podcast episode with Jackie from Me, My Skirt and I, and so I was just fiddling a bit. Is it a bit quiet? I see you're saying it's a bit quiet, so I'm just going to bump my mic up a little bit, not too much, because I don't want my mic to be too loud in comparison to the music. Okay, so I've bumped up my mic volume. Let's just try that. Okay. So GiveX, just let me know what the volume's like now. Oh, thanks, Dominic. Yeah. The first episode, I listened to it and I realized that the recording software, because it was basically a bot that was recording it, caused a bit of a audio glitch due to the latency from my side. So I recorded it on my PC this time. Just a bit more hassle, but not too bad. And this time, I think it also went a bit better because I don't know. It was a bit. I don't want to say it was awkward the first time, but it's like, you constantly have these things running through your head as you're doing the podcast. Like, am I saying the right things? Am I engaging enough? Am I properly articulating the points I want to make? Because it's all like live in a sense. Like I can't think it out. I'm just going to bump my mic volume up a little bit more. Okay, I don't know if this helps. I think I've improved it a little bit. I don't want to put the gain on. I'm using my recording software settings to bump it up a little. I don't want to put the actual gain on my mic up because that's just going to catch a lot of background noise unnecessarily. So I have bumped it up a bit more now. I'm gonna max out the mic volume, guys. I'm putting the mic volume on the max now. If it's still not good, then I will drop it. But then I'll put the gain up. But if it's too much, I'll drop it. Just let me know how it is now. Okay, cool. Okay, looks like everyone's happy that it's better now. Yeah, looks like there is a bit of a stream delay. At least it seems like it on my side, but it's not too bad. It's definitely doable. Anyway, so yeah, like I was saying, the podcast went very well last week. I was constantly criticizing myself, as I said, because I wasn't sure if I was articulating my points properly, things like that. But today's went quite well. You'll see in about a week or so when the episode comes out, we tackled one of the most popular characters in the Cosmere, and we discussed them and the goings on around them and things like that. Yeah, see, I'm someone who does listen to a lot of podcasts, and I know that from all the podcasts I've listened to, it's very much a case of, especially for new podcasters, it takes some acclimation time. It takes some time for them to get used to podcasting and to the way of speaking and things like that. And I can already feel an improvement with the one we did today, the one we recorded today. So I definitely think it's going to be better. But obviously we'll have to see. And I know that over time it'll improve as well. I just want to take a look, because I think I saw, yeah, we're already at like 8 or 9 viewers, up to 11. I don't know, it's kind of spiking on my end, but that's awesome. Nice amount of people here early on in the stream, which is great. Box, the podcast is a podcast that I started with Jackie from Me, My Skirt and I. You'll see it on my channel. It's in my videos. Probably the second last video I did where we did episode 1 of the podcast. It's the Between the Worlds podcast, where we discuss all things fantasy, heavily Cosmere focused. So there will be more of a Cosmere focus in the podcast, but we will do episodes on Wheel of Time and things like that. So we call it Between the Worlds because we'll be jumping between different fantasy worlds and different worlds in the Cosmere. So definitely give it a watch if you haven't yet. Who is your favorite character in the Cosmere? Whew. Man, this is tough because I can give you a favorite character per like series because I just can't, like, I can't pick a favorite. It's just I can't. Out of all of them, it's not possible. So I'll tell you for Stormlight, I would say personal favorite is Dalinar. For Mistborn, I would say I'm really liking Elend this time around with Mistborn Era 1. A lot more than I did in my first reading. So I would say Elend this time. What else is there? Warbreaker, it's Vivenna. Elantris, it's Rathan or Rathan, however you want to say it. And then, am I missing one? Oh yeah, Era 2. I like Wax. I kind of like Wayne too, but if he were just a little less goofy, I'd like him more. So I'll go with Wax. Some of my favorite podcasts. Like, okay, I kind of lived for Shardcast for a while, which is kind of what inspired me to start a podcast. Where Shardcast like focuses on the deep Cosmere lore and the way it works. The podcast I want to do is kind of focusing more on the narrative and the story and the characters, rather than what abilities the characters have specifically. Like, what role do the characters in this group of characters play within the larger scope of things, and how are they being utilized? So that's kind of the direction I'm going with mine. But I do enjoy Shardcast. They're definitely one of my favorites, for sure. Yeah, it's great to see so many people on. I do hope you guys will jump into the chat and, let's have a bit of a discussion, bit of a back and forth going. It's what it's all about, just to chill and relax together. Vivenna is your all-time favorite. Yeah, I really liked Vivenna. In fact, if you look back on my channel, I think my very first video was a Vivenna video. I wouldn't recommend you watch that video because I'm not a fan of my earlier videos, but I did enjoy Vivenna as a character. She definitely progressed a lot, and she grew the most in that story. So I definitely, in that story, other than Lightsong, Vivenna's definitely up there for me. Yeah, see, I probably would like Vasher more, but we just don't know enough about him. Like, we know some of his backstory, we know some of, kind of personality that he has, but we never really spent a lot of time in his head, so, and we never really saw him progress as a character, so I can't really say that I would put him up there with Vivenna out of the Warbreaker story specifically. What do you think about the Wheel of Time magic system? Oh, okay, so I have to give you guys an update. I think last week I had just finished book 3 when in the last stream. Or was it book 4? I can't remember. But I'm currently on book 6. So I have progressed fairly along with my read-through. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting a lot more information on... what is it? Weaving? It's channeling, but it's like the way they weave the one power into different things, and I like how it kind of ties in with like the weave of the pattern and stuff. It's really cool. I do think I'm not 100% knowledgeable on it, but I have a feeling that we're going to get new information on it almost every book, until you only really understand the magic system by the end of the series. But I really like it, and man, I can't wait to finish the series so I can start like making videos on it and stuff, because I'm already looking at it and thinking of different videos I could make. So I'm really enjoying it. Oh yeah, it is basically a video on me just explaining that whilst Vivenna is one of the viewpoint characters, it's really her story, because she's the one that progresses, that learns, that actually goes through a character transformation and change compared to the rest. Like, the others do somewhat, but not to the same extent as she does. Have you read the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks? Might make a good podcast episode if so. It is on. It's actually on my TBR list. I did a midway through 2021 TBR list video, and it's on there. So I do intend on reading Lightbringer, and it's on the list. But I'm kind of trying to push through Wheel of Time at the moment, and I'm enjoying every step of the way. But that is currently my priority. And once I've either decided I've had enough and I want to take a break, or once I've finished Wheel of Time, I'll probably start that next as the next series. I was doing a book from this series here, then the book from the next series there as I went along through the list, but it's just not sustainable for me anymore. I need to kind of push through a series more. I don't feel like that sense of completion. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere, so I'm kind of I decided I'm going to do the series route from now on. I'm just doing Wheel of Time now, and I'll move on to the next one when I'm tired of it or when I'm done with it. But yeah, so let's see, what else do we have here? Have you not read Wheel of Time before? No, I haven't. I'm actually going through my first read through of it, so I'm on book 6. So I have no idea how the story ends, but yeah, I've never read it before, never finished it before, never even... I did, when I was way younger, I did start it, but I could barely remember anything. It was basically like I'd never read it, and so yeah, it's my first read through. Have you read the First Law trilogy? Started it today. I actually have that also on that TBR video. So it's like Joe Abercrombie. I really like grimdark, so Joe Abercrombie's definitely on my list. I want to read the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb. It's the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks, and obviously I want to finish Wheel of Time. I'm doing the Cosmere read through as well, so yeah, luckily audiobooks have come in clutch for me here. Like, I was falling behind heavily, but audiobooks have really helped because I've got a lot more time that I'm just sitting working that I could be listening to a audiobook instead of me actually having time to sit down and read. So while I'm not getting as much active reading with my eyes, as possible, I am still getting the story. So I'm happy with that. And I do consider audiobooks reading. It's just that I never really gave them a proper chance because I preferred reading. But now I can definitely see the utility in them. Let's see. Last week you were in book 4. How much time do you have a day to read? Well, basically, Fingolfin, during my day job, I can have my earphones in and listen to an audiobook all the time. So, not counting the times where I have to kind of, pause because I'm speaking to a colleague or because I'm doing, I don't know, whatever it is that I'm doing that requires me to pause the audiobook or whatever. I can maybe fit in about 5 to 6 hours of active reading a day with audiobooks, and I also listen at 1.5 times speed. So yeah, I'm getting through it fairly quickly, a lot quicker than I thought I would. I'm a little over 100 pages in and I'm hooked on the audiobook. It's unbelievable. Yeah, I've heard that the audiobook for Joe Abercrombie books is really good. So, and I think it was actually mentioned on the last stream we did last week. So, yeah, I'm definitely, I don't know if I will do the audiobook or if I will just read it, because I don't want to just transition into pure audiobooks, but I do want to give it a try because I've heard a lot of good things. Let's see. I just finished the Lightbringer series and have read Wheel of Time multiple times. In my opinion, don't take a break, it makes the story better. Yeah, I've heard that basically what you want to do is get through the slog. Apparently there's a slog in the series. But if you just read through it and you don't take a break, or if you use the audiobooks, apparently it's much better. So I do intend on finishing it. I don't intend on going to any other series other than the Cosmere read-through that I'm doing in between. But if I do get tired of it and I do feel like it's a grind or a drag to listen to it, then I will take a break because I don't want to get burnt out on it. But I'll try to get as far as I can before that happens, or I'll finish it. We'll have to see. What's the topic for the next podcast episode? It's actually on Calcia. It's not a secret or anything, but yeah, the next podcast episode will be on Calcia and the Ghost Bloods. and just our thoughts on the role of Calcia and the Ghostbloods within the larger narrative, both within, obviously Stormlight, but Calcia within Mistborn as well, and also what we think the direction of Calcia is going to be. Well, let's see. Oh, you're going to read Farseer. That's great. Love that series. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good thing about Robin Hobb. Like, I don't hear much about Robin Hobb in terms of world building or things like that, but every time I've heard the stories mentioned, I've always heard that apparently everyone who reads the story just loves it. So I do look forward to it, but I'm just trying to get through Wheel of Time now. Then I'll be transitioning to that and to Joe Abercrombie. What are your expectations for the Wheel of Time show? Do you think they will change something important? I think they're going to change a lot of things, and probably a lot of things that the fandom thinks is very important. I'm trying to get as far as I can as well for the show, because I know that there are going to be instances where they change things or bring things forward that might change a lot of the implications of it might change a lot of the later storyline. So I hope they don't change any major plot beats. Like, I'm okay with them cutting something here and there and merging certain things and shortening certain things to just make it fit a bit better. I have no issue with that. But I really just hope that they don't cut out anything important, because if you're adapting a story, changing a couple things, shortening a couple things, and merging a couple things are totally fine. But you got to remember that you're trying to attract a new audience, yes, but you're also essentially adapting a work that already has a fan base, and that fan base will hold you up to a certain standard. They are things that they really enjoy about the story. So whenever you're doing an adaptation, you yourself, or at least the writer working on the episodes, needs to be someone who's read the source material and who understands what the fans are looking for. So my deep hope is that there's nothing huge changed, but I have no issue with smaller changes. The Slog is, in my opinion, just one book, Crossroads of Twilight. Maybe one and parts of 2 other books at most. Okay, well, I'm currently on Lord of Chaos, I think, is the book's name. Yeah, I think I just finished Fires of Heaven, and now I'm on Lord of Chaos, which, weirdly enough, had, like, one of the longest prologues. I don't even know why. If you guys hear a bell in the background, my cat is, like, all over. But, anyway. So, yeah, Crossroads of Twilight. I don't know, I think that's, like, the 10th book. I just briefly scanned through the titles. So I'm probably still a way off from the Slog. But I'm going at a fairly good pace, so if I keep this pace up, then maybe it won't even feel like a slog to me. Just give me a sec, guys. I gotta take a sip here. My throat's getting dry. Would you rather get a Warbreaker or Elantris sequel? Man, that's tough. See, I want a sequel for each for different reasons. Warbreaker, I want more exposition on Nightblood and the Returned and that world. Cell and Elantris, basically having a sequel for that. I mostly want it because I want to see a story done in that world, but with Brandon's current skill. And I want more expansion on Cell because it's got such a unique system of investiture. So, I mean, it's really tough. If you had to put a gun to my head, I'd probably say Warbreaker, because it has more of a tie-in with Stormlight, so it's probably more important for that to get more exposition. But I really want an Elantris sequel or another book set in the world of Cell, so we'll have to see. Let's see. Oh, I don't want to fall behind. Am I falling behind? I think the Slog is more about the readers. Some find the early books harder reads. I'll definitely say it took me some time to acclimate to Jordan. Not his prose or writing style, but just how much he tries to fit into a single book, and just how casually and slowly he kind of immerses you in the world. Like for me, who's read the Cosmere and who enjoys theorizing, waiting to get the information that I want is a bit frustrating with Jordan, but I understand he's kind of easing you in, specifically because for the time that he wrote, which was like the early 90s, back then only the nerdiest of the nerdy would really have dive deep into the world, and people who had either fan clubs or some rare online internet forums would discuss it. But in today's, geek culture climate where people are constantly talking on social media about their thoughts on different book series, and we're kind of spoiled with Brandon with how deep he does his world building for different worlds, across worlds, and for how quickly he writes. Reading Robert Jordan, which was written for a different time and audience and a different way of receiving the story and thinking about the story, can be a bit frustrating, but the audiobooks have really helped, so I think it should be fine. What's your cat's name? Well, her name is technically Fibonacci, but we just call her Phoebe. So yeah, Phoebe is my cat's name. Let's see. Do you think Calcium makes an appearance? That is spoiler territory, but we have been streaming for half an hour, so I will say we will go into spoilers from now on. We've been streaming for 31 minutes, so I think that's fair. So for any of you who are not read up on the Cosmere, do beware, from this point on we will be discussing spoilers. There's no limitations on any Cosmere spoilers, and I probably won't be announcing any spoiler alerts from here on, so just be aware. So do I think Calcio will make an appearance in Wax and Wayne 4? I think it's pretty much been confirmed by Brandon that we will, at the very least, there'll be Ghost Blood activity. So I'm assuming we would see Calcia, or at least, yeah, I mean, the Sovereign is there as well, so, and which is Calcia. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get more exposition on that. Whether we see him physically, because he's a cognitive shadow, I don't know. But we very well might. And I do hope we do. We know he's stuck in the Scadrian cognitive realm, so I do hope we see him. Well, you don't hear much about Hobbes' world building because the thing Hobbes is best at is characters. But in later trilogies, the world building is also great. Awesome. Like, I don't intend for my channel to cover the world building of all the different fantasy universes. But if I enjoy a book or a universe's world building enough, I'll at the very least do like some kind of a primer, a before you read video, or a magic system explained video. I'll always, if the world is big enough and the characters are big enough and I have the aspiration to, I probably will do character studies, but most likely I'll do some light world building videos on most of the series that I enjoy. Let's just see, am I falling? Okay, I don't think I'm falling behind too much. Welcome, Robert. I found the slog is not a slog when listened to. Yeah, that's what I've heard, so I'm glad I've kind of moved over to the audiobooks. Wheel of Time is about the journey, not the destination. Hey, I see what you did there. Do you think that Thydacar will make a physical appearance in Stormlight 5? Because that would be amazing. Well, Sabrina, I was talking about the podcast earlier, and the next podcast episode, which you guys will see in about a week or two, is a episode we did on Calcia and the Ghost Bloods. Full spoilers and everything. So we do touch on what our thoughts for Calcia and the Ghost Bloods are going forward into next Mistborn and Stormlight books. So I would say keep an eye out for that episode, because you'll get a lot fuller answer there than you will here. Yeah, I do get that feeling a lot. Like, Robert Jordan's text translates to a new narration very well. So I do enjoy the audiobooks. Like I said, I wasn't always into audiobooks because I've had bad experiences with them in the past where it just wasn't enjoyable. So I've kind of just stuck to reading, but I always considered audiobooks to be valid reading and a valid way of doing it. But I never could really find a good audiobook, and I just decided to give these a go, and yeah, it's definitely helped. Elantris has a nice conclusion, but Warbreaker has a few loose ends. I'm only excited for a Warbreaker sequel. Yeah, see, Elantris does have a nice conclusion. I do agree with you, and I agree with everything you say here, but the thing is, Elantris has a lot of things that I wish would be executed better. That's why I'd like Sanderson to do another cell-based book or Elantris sequel, so we can get that story or a story there with Sanderson's current writing abilities. Sorry, just had to take a sip. Let's see. Honestly, the thing about older fantasy and books in general is the disconnect with the modern audience. I haven't really gotten into those books, but I'm glad they inspired what I like. Yeah, see, I've mostly read modern books, and when I say modern, I would say from the year 2000 onwards. But I do want to get more into the older fantasy. I am enjoying Robert Jordan's books as well, and I can see the difference in narration style, well, not narration style, but writing style, in terms of the way that books were written back then and published and distributed versus now, with basically the instant gratification culture. And as much as I love Sanderson for writing so quickly, it's very much a case of we're very spoiled as Sanderson fans because very few other fantasy authors can output on his level and keep in touch with the fan base and inform the fans and give them, basically wobs are a thing, which I don't know if many other authors do much of that. So we're very spoiled with Brandon, and I do appreciate it. Let's see, am I missing anything? Oh, you guys are talking about Prologue Book 5. Yeah, Gavilar is confirmed to be the prologue for Book 5. Prologue POV. Because, it's basically going to be the last prologue with some kind of relevance to the feast, because second half of Stormlight will most likely have a different prologue. And I assume it'll be something that happened like in the gap between 5 and 6. We'll have to see. But yeah, Gavilar is confirmed to be the prologue POV for Book 5. I'm actually quite curious to see what happens, because we've now got all the pieces. No, it's like we've got all the pieces to the puzzle now, but we don't know how they fit together. We can kind of see the different dots, but just how they're connected, we're not 100% sure. And Gavilar's POV, seeing what he saw and knowing what he knew will kind of link it all together for us. I still want to know, how does Thadakar know him? What is their relationship? And what's up with the Ghostbloods and the Unmade? And man, Book 5 better answer some major questions, and at the very least should, if it doesn't answer questions, should give us enough information to try and start puzzling things together for whatever it doesn't answer. Givek says, I really don't think Kelsier will be a Stormlight Archive character. His story will be more relevant in Wax and Wayne 4 and Mistborn Era 4. Oh, you said you meant Era 3. You think he won't be a Stormlight Archive character? His story will be more relevant in Wax and Wayne 4 and Mistborn Era 3. Yeah, I do agree with that, but I do think we will see him in Stormlight Archive books. I don't think he'll be considered much of a Stormlight Archive character, but I do think we'll get some kind of interaction with him. The way Shallan's story is going at the moment, there's kind of no avoiding her meeting with him somehow, whether it's directly or through some kind of communication, but I do think at some point she's going to directly communicate with him. I think that's unavoidable. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But I do think we can actually see him in the story. Maybe he won't be an actual character. He might not even have a POV. But we're definitely seeing him. And if we don't, I'm going to feel kind of cheated. Let's see. Assuming Dalinar's downfall is inevitable, do you think Zeth says his fourth words before that happens? Basically the fourth ideal or the last ideal of the Skybreakers would be that they become the essence of the law. He's currently following Dalinar, and now he needs to get to the point where he can follow himself, and he's the essence of the law in a way. Do I think it happens before Dalinar falls? Honestly, I think it might happen just before, if not like at the same time. Like maybe Zeth sees Dalinar's downfall, and realizing that he no longer has Dalinar that he can follow, he follows himself and becomes the essence of the law which he can follow. So it might even happen after, but like so close together you can basically say it happened at the same time. That's just a working theory, because I can't think what else would make Zeth stray from following Dalinar. He's kind of devoted to him, so we'll have to see. Paperback or hardback? Oof. See, hardbacks are nice for display, but paperbacks are more comfortable to read. Personally, like I'm basically going very minimalist, and I've like already got a bag full, actually 2 or 3 bags full of books that I'll be donating because I'm moving soon. So I'm trying to go more ebook route and audiobooks. But if I had to pick one, I would go with paperback. I do like hardbacks, but other than display pieces, I mean, I wouldn't. They're not practical to read with, so I'd go with paperback. Let's see. Greg asks, what actor would play a great Calcia? Man, that's tough. Because I'm trying to think of an actor that's young enough. Kelsey is like in his late 20s, early 30s, isn't he? So, you know who? I'm thinking Chris Evans. Chris Evans, the guy who plays Captain America. I think he would have the right face and hair color, obviously. But I'm also, now that I'm thinking of like Marvel, Chris Hemsworth could do it as well. But I think his face is a bit too old to play Calcia. So maybe I see Fingolfin says Nikolai Walder Costa or Costa Walder, however you say it, the guy who played Jaime Lannister. He would do it well. Yeah, he would be able to pull it off. He's also a good pick for sure. Which POV are you most excited to see from Stormlight Archive Book 5? Mine is more from Terravodium. Yeah, like, oh man, I want a viewpoint from everyone, like everyone. I want to see, like, this is gonna be, I kind of see it as Stormlight Archive is one story, right? And you'll have the front half and the back half. First 5 books, second 5 books. And while they're all gonna tie together, they'll have the same characters, things like that. And because it's all within the same large narrative and the same story, I understand that it's one series. But I'm kind of seeing book 5 as I'm seeing the first half as its own separate series from the second half, even though it falls under the same series. So I'm expecting book 5 to have a lot of revelations and a lot of plot threads being tied off and closed off, with only a couple unanswered that's gonna stretch into the second half because of the time gap. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of years between book 5 and 6, so you can't have a lot of things unresolved for too long. I mean, if there's a mystery, maybe say for example Shallan doesn't find Bar Adomishram, right? She just discovers that, oh, this is why the Ghostbloods want Bar Adomishram, but she doesn't find Bar Adomishram. Are you going to tell me that in the 15 to 20 years or whatever it's going to be between book 5 and 6 she never found Bar Adomishram? So unless Brandon does that and kind of cheats the audience, which he wouldn't do, I have a feeling he's going to tie off a lot and only leave the slightest plot threads unfollowed up on and unresolved for book 5. And obviously, for book 6. And obviously the end of book 5 will start or reveal new plot points that need to be explored in the latter half. But I do see book 5 as a closing book, kind of like an ending to the first, obviously the first half of the Stormlight Archive, but the first, I guess, story of the Stormlight Archive. So because of that, and this is just a very long-winded way of coming to an answer for you, but because of that, I do kind of want to see a POV chapter of basically everyone. I want to see more Shallan, I want to see more Kaladin, I want to see more Moash, I want to see more Dalinar, definitely more Dalinar. I want to see what happened with Vasher or Zahel. I want to see what's going on with Adolin and Renarin and Relaine and Venli, even though I'm not a huge Venli fan, but we won't go there. I want to know what's happening with the Fused and who is that new character whose name I forget. Something with a V. I don't know. But like that singer, that new singer, what's going on with him and what's going on with Kaladin's family, and is he gonna see that chick that he used to date back in the slave camps? I don't know. But I want all these things to kind of be tied up on or at least touched on. So I'm hoping for POVs on everyone. Also more Risen, definitely more Risen. Anyway, let's see. I think I fell behind with the chat. Have you read The Traveler? No, I have not. I'm not aware what that's about, but do feel free to enlighten me. Oh, my lucky, from the Discord. Awesome. What novel or author for you into fantasy? Oh, you mean like brought me into fantasy? Like my first real entry technically into fantasy was like a lot of my generation, which was Harry Potter. But my first real fantasy series was well, does it count if it's incomplete because it's the Song of Ice and Fire series, so it's not even finished. But George Martin basically got me into wider fantasy. I read the Song of Ice and Fire books and kind of just stuck with him for a while, and didn't really bother myself with looking for other authors. Then I heard of Brandon Sanderson, and I'm like, okay, so apparently this author's big. Everybody's talking about this Mistborn series. Let me give that a try, and the rest is history. So yeah. You need more Navani in book 5. Look, I like Navani, but what more can she really give us? Like I said, I want more POVs from everyone, so definitely more Navani in book 5, but purely because I want to learn more about the sibling and the Unmade, which I think we'll learn more about through the sibling, and about the Night Watcher and cultivation, so for those purposes. But in terms of Navani as a character and her story, I think we've kind of gotten that wrapped up, at least in my opinion. Navani for Prime Minister. Sure. I'm going to pick Dalinar, though. If it's between Dalinar and Navani, my vote goes to Dalinar every time. What are some TV shows that you like? I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched TV shows in a long time. The most recent one I watched, well, I mean, what that I really like, the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones was really good. Everything from there was utter horse crap, in my opinion. I used to like Big Bang Theory when I was a teenager and didn't know what humor was, even if it hit me in the face. I really like Breaking Bad. What else do I like? Like I said, I haven't watched a lot. I like the Witcher series, the first season. I have a lot of issues with it, but I do hope season 2 improves on it. Oh, I really like BoJack Horseman. That's also a good show, whatever. It's good. I really like that as well. If you haven't watched BoJack Horseman, definitely give it a try. Let's see. Yeah, everyone's saying more Leshwi. I like Leshwi. I really like Leshwi. I do hope we get more of her as well, especially after what seems like a really painful moment for her, or not painful, but like emotional moment when she found out that the Spren haven't abandoned all the singers. And so yeah, I'm definitely excited to see more of her. I don't know if we'll actually get a POV chapter from her, but I do want to see more from her. Let me just take a sip here, guys. Much better. Okay, Leshwi, Relaine. Yeah, I definitely want to see more Leshwi. Definitely want to see more Relaine. I hope we get more Relaine POV chapters though, because like I feel like both Relaine and Renarin, these two characters that are supposedly going to be, in a relationship together, we haven't really gotten a lot of POV chapters from them. We've gotten a couple, but definitely not a lot. So I hope we do get quite a bit from them. I hope Risen stays safe because she has some very important power. Yeah. If there's one person in the Cosmere that we should probably be keeping very safe, it's Risen. And I don't even know the implications of what would happen if she were to die, or what even all the implications of her power is. It's not like she has powers, but she is a vessel for power in a way. But yeah, we definitely need to keep her safe. Let's see what else. Oh my god, yes. More POVs from Chiri Chiri. Oh, that interlude in Rhythm of War brought such a smile to my face. And it's something I'll always fondly remember. And oh my god, I've said this in the past and I will say it again. I want a Chiri Chiri plushie so bad. I need to see if I can find one. But that was like the best interlude POV in the whole of Stormlight. I don't even care what you say. Axes the Collector POVs. Yeah, look, these obscure Cosmere characters, I doubt we're going to see a lot of them other than just references. I hope so, though. I mean, I actually want to make a video on all the obscure Cosmere characters that are probably quite important, but that we don't know anything of. Maybe I should make a video. Anyway, let's see what else is here. Sorry, a little behind on the video. Yeah, no worries. Like, I'm behind on the chat, so it's not a big deal. TWN, the Traveler, is a non-canon short story Brandon's read a few years ago at Jordan Con. Takes place on Yolland and is basically a conversation between Hoyd and Frost. Huh. I don't know if that's something that Tell me if this is the one that I'm thinking about. In a stream that Brandon did, I think it's a stream, he did a reading from also a non-canon Yolland story of essentially Hoyd in, I guess it's like a mess hall or a cafeteria where he tells stories to a bunch of people and they're not really receptive, and he feels bad because he was trained as a storyteller and his stories aren't inspiring the people in the way that he thought it would. And he does some kind of light weaving in a very fundamental, basic way. Is that the Traveler? Because I remember a story that was read that was like that on Brandon's channel, but I might be thinking of a different story that's not the Traveler, so let me know. Okay, remember that one interlude in Way of Kings where we also the cameos at the Pure Lake? What was up with that? What were they there for? Oh, Sabrina, those are members of the 17th Shard who works for Frost. So, they were all there hunting Hoyd because actually, is the 17th Shard part with Frost? I think they are. Anyway, yeah, the 17th Shard has a bit of an issue with Hoyd because Hoyd likes to mingle and they have a strict no mingling policy with world hoppers. And he's kind of been a thorn in their side for years, probably hundreds of years, because he will just mingle in the affairs of the different worlds, and they are trying to prevent that and to keep him contained because they have a non-interventionalist policy and they are just there to observe. So that's the setup for that, I guess. I think it was just that was just an interlude meant to highlight to the reader that, oh crap, Hoyd is on this planet and these are world hoppers. So that, because if you didn't know that Wit was Hoyd at that point, it would click for you maybe. Like, I kind of knew Wit was Hoyd from the get-go, just from his personality. I was like, wait a minute, this is Hoyd. This is totally Hoyd. And when it was confirmed, I'm like, ha, I knew it. So, yeah, I think that was the purpose of it. Let's see. Dude, in Rhythm of War, Lane chapters were a highlight for me. Yeah, they were. Well, what I'm saying is there's so few of them. Like, for two characters, Relaine and Renarin, that are supposed to eventually become this couple and that we're supposed to care about, we've had a very few POV chapters. Like, I just feel like we need more because there definitely hasn't been enough in my opinion. Let's see. It has been just trying to make sure I'm catching up on the stream here on the chat. It doesn't have to be complete to count if you just had to get you started. Shout out for Incarnation of Immortality series by Piers Anthony. What's your guilty pleasure for reading? Oof, guilty pleasure. That is difficult. Like, I mean, I don't really read things that most people frown upon because most of the things I read, I will, I'll look up ahead of time, not the story, but just like, is it good? Because I don't like wasting my time. And unless I were to just feel like punishing myself, I'm not going to pick up a book that I don't enjoy and that isn't at least reviewed as a decent book. Like, I'm not just going to like it just because it's reviewed well, but I'm going to go for books that have a decent review because it's more likely to be a decent book. Man, I'm racking my brains here trying to think of what my guilty pleasure is for reading. I can't really think of anything. Because as much of a reputation as it has, there's even books or stories on Wattpad that I've read that are really good, and I wouldn't even call them guilty pleasures. I would even recommend them. So, I don't really have any. I'm sorry, it's not necessarily the answer you wanted, but I don't really have any guilty pleasures. Let's see. T.W. Raven. The traveler is Hoyd and Frost next to a tree, if I remember. They're discussing the death of ruin and preservation. Huh. Yeah, never heard of that story. Well, I'll have to look, and maybe I can find it. I probably can find it online. I don't think that's the one. The Traveler's not on Brandon's channel, as far as I know. It takes place after Mistborn because they mentioned death of Ati and Leras. Yeah, I'm thinking of a different one. The story that I think Brandon did a reading of it. The one that I was thinking of is like also non-canon and to do with Hoyd actually on Yolin at the time, but it was like a snippet from a scene, so we don't really get much of it. It's like Hoyd's backstory, kind of. Let's see. Let me just say I'm so glad to be able to chat about this. Everyone I know is so tired of me talking about Brandon Sanderson. Yeah. See, I don't really have anyone. Like, I've got one friend that's read the Mistborn trilogy and Warbreaker, but we don't really talk about Brandon Sanderson much. And most of Brandon Sanderson topics always goes back to Stormlight, and this person hasn't read Stormlight yet, so I don't really have anyone to talk to it about or talk to about it. So I talk to you guys. But I mean, that's what the internet's for. So we're all just here to nerd out about Sanderson. Also gives me some insight into what Hoyd may be after. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that. I've never heard of it. I know it's not canon, but it gives, like you said, it gives you insight, because if that's what Brandon is kind of going for, the execution might be different, but he's still kind of aiming in that direction. So my wife reads. No conspiracy theories, no trying to figure out the next book. Crazy. So I need you people. Yeah, I mean, the people that just read fantasy books and just leave it there and don't just like wonder about it and theorize, or not even theorize, just like think about the world and how it would work in this way and what happens after. Those people are weird. If you don't have at least some kind of thoughts on the story and the world afterwards, especially Brandon Sanderson. The only book of Brandon Sanderson I would forgive that of is Elantris, and that is just because I do think I feel like I'm too hard on Elantris sometimes, but just the way he conveyed the world building is not in a way that compelled me to care much for it after. It was only afterwards that I looked into it more and did my own research and actually thought about the magic system more, that I actually became interested in the world, and now I really like Cell. But the story itself never really interested me in the setting. So let's see. What country are you in? I am in South Africa. I am South African, born and raised, city of Cape Town. Definitely more from Renarin. Forgot about him, just like his that hurt. I'm not even Renarin, and that hurts. Poor guy. Damn. Sabrina, you're a savage. You think we see Teft again as a cognitive shadow? I doubt it. I'm pretty sure he's moved on. He was heavily invested, but I don't think that he will be hanging around. I mean, I could be proven wrong, but I doubt it. I feel like it's final, and it would be kind of cheap for Brandon to just, reveal him again as a cognitive shadow to kind of cheapen his death. So, yeah, I don't think so. I just hate to admit I've read a romance/BDSM erotica book, lol, way better than 50. I mean, hey, we've all done that, bruh. I just wouldn't call it a guilty pleasure. I would openly admit to it. I've never read 50 Shades of Grey. I did see the movie, but I've never actually read the book, and I have no intention of it. I tried reading, like, I'm thinking now of books that a lot of people hate on, and Twilight is another one. A lot of people hate on Twilight. I tried to read, like, the first chapter, and then I was like, teenage supernatural love stories, just kind of not my thing. So I didn't really care. So I just didn't. But obviously I enjoy fantasy, and that's got fantasy elements, but it's got none of the fantasy that I enjoy. If I read a fantasy book, I want a new world to explore, a new magic system, maybe even new fantasy races, new kingdoms, politics, people, cultures. I want that. And that's kind of why I don't really read urban fantasy, because you very rarely get a lot of that unless it's like a secret world hidden within the normal world, kind of like Harry Potter. And even then, it's so far removed from urban fantasy. You can't even call it that anymore. So, yeah, it's probably part of why I didn't like Twilight. That, and apparently the characters were very poorly written. I can only go off the movies. I don't know how accurate the adaptations are, but yeah, I didn't really care for the movies much either. Okay, let's see. Rashek and Hoyd have a flute battle. Who wins? They have a flute battle? Unless this is some kind of weird Cosmere lore that I'm missing, which I doubt. If you're just asking me a question, obviously Hoyd. Hoyd is like the flutist of the Cosmere, the instrumentalist of the Cosmere. He always plays some kind of instrument, whether it's a stringed instrument or his flute that he carries around. I would say definitely him. Was Rashek known for any instruments? I don't think so. I don't even think there were instruments in the little chamber within his palace. So I'll definitely go with Hoyd. Alpha Bravo Cheesecake says, the scene where Moash kills Teft was so jarring. Mostly the way that Moash kills his friend. Yeah, it was jarring. Like, obviously it was foreshadowed in that the ability to kill Spren and things like that, and they told him how to do it and what to do with the sand and everything. So it was foreshadowed, but it was really sudden. Like, I didn't think that was going to happen until it was at that point, Moash with the dagger and Teft kneeling there, and I was like, oh crap. And then it happened, and I was like, oh crap. So, definitely, I wouldn't say jarring, but definitely sudden. Let's see. Oh, hey Josh, welcome. Good to see you, man. You and Givex and Fingolfin, you guys always make it for the live streams. Don't ever feel pressured though. I appreciate you, but yeah, it's good to see you. Just don't feel pressured, because I kind of feel bad sometimes. I'm like, you don't have to come in every time, especially because you always comment, you always on the videos, always on the lives, things like that. So, and I saw you comment on the stream, well, not the stream, the premiere for the podcast, and like I told you, don't feel bad if you can't make it. Don't feel forced. I could have forgave Moash for killing Elokar, but Teft, that's way out of line. So I'm not going to start a rant, but I can still kind of forgive Moash for killing Teft. Now, look, Teft is I like Teft, and he was a great character, and I didn't want him to die. And I do have a lot of anger towards Moash for doing what he did, and I detest him for it. But I'm not saying that forgiveness is impossible. I still think that there's a potential redemption arc in the works. Maybe in the second half of Stormlight, we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm not saying that redemption is impossible, as much as the fandom likes to fight on that. Yeah, if Tiff didn't actually die, then it takes away from Kaladin's amazing moments swearing the fourth ideal. Tiff didn't actually die and takes away from Kaladin's amazing moment. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he had to die, and for that to happen to Kaladin, like, kind of pushing him over the edge, literally and metaphorically. But it doesn't, and obviously it was necessary. Doesn't mean that obviously we like the fact that Tiff died, and obviously doesn't mean that we want to forgive Moash. But at the same time, I'm not saying forgiveness is impossible. I think Brandon could still pull off a proper redemption arc. Hoyd always wins musical battles. Yeah. You know, there's always the story of if you can out-fiddle the devil or something with a fiddle competition, he will give you, like, grant you your life back or something. Or maybe I'm confusing that with the Grim Reaper. I don't know. But I feel like Hoyd would win that. And if we didn't already know it was the fact that there's a dawn shard that made him immortal, I would say that's how he kept alive all the centuries. Rashek played the flute for over 1,000 years. Really? Huh, that's some obscure Cosmere lore that I didn't even know. He played the flute? Huh. I had no idea. And I recently read Mistborn. That must have been, like, mentioned once, and I didn't even pay attention. Damn. Well, you always learn, don't you? Let's see. Hoyd is the instrumentalist of the Cosmere and instrumental in the Cosmere. Yeah, perfectly put, definitely. But, I mean, like Fingolfin says, Rashek apparently played the flute for 1,000 years, and I don't know how old Hoyd is. I mean, he's probably older. He's definitely older. But does he have more flute experience? Well, now I'm not so sure anymore. Have you tried Dresden Files? First couple books are roughish, but gets outstanding. Audiobooks are narrated. Dresden Files is something that I do have on my list, but not on the short term. That's something I might start tackling next year. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of urban fantasy, and because I know Dresden Files are so, it's such a big series within the fantasy genre, I do have to get to it sometime. But because I'm not an urban fantasy fan, I'm going to be honest and say it's just not on my priority list. But it is on my list, so I will give you that. Let's see. Yeah, apparently it'll be an epic flute battle. Damn. Yeah, over 100 years of practice. Man, see, now I'm not so sure. I didn't even know about that. Pretty interesting. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Daniel Green's videos on Dresden Files, so that's also kind of what's convinced me to add it to my list, even though it's not a priority for me right now. I actually don't hate Moash at all. I don't blame him for killing Teth, just because of that split second where he felt that guilt. He wouldn't have done if Odium sucked away. That's what I'm saying. It's like Moash would hate himself if he could still hate himself. If it weren't for Odium's overt magic actually actively working on his emotions and suppressing them, he would hate himself, and he probably wouldn't even have done it. So I can still kind of see where there would be redemption. Dresden is awesome. I expected silly pulp, but it's actually really good. Well, that's good to know. Like, I hope it is good, because it's not a genre or a sub-genre that I go into much, so I don't want to be put off too much and not finish it. I hate, not finishing series, especially if apparently the series do get really good, because it feels like I just didn't have the willpower to power through maybe the slog at the beginning or whatever. I'm not saying a redemption arc is impossible, but Brandon would have to work real hard to make us accept that. But I believe he has the skill to do that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm still thinking there's a possibility. Now, the events of Book 5 could change that, but as it currently stands, if Brandon does it well, and does it over the course of a couple books, so it'll have to be like Arc 2 of Stormlight, like the last 6 books or something. If he does it well and does it over enough time, gives us Moash POVs so we can kind of see from Moash's perspective, and takes the time to help us understand this character and move on with this character, we could definitely get a proper redemption arc. Whether it'll happen, I don't know, but I do think it's in the cards, because I feel like Brandon Sanderson's not the kind of writer to just make a character that everyone will hate for the sake of hating him. He will make a character that you will hate, and then he will also make you love that character. He's that kind of writer. So that's why I'm expecting a redemption arc. Let's see. Moash might get redemption, but he'll never get forgiveness. Oof. Oh, come on, Josh. Don't be so mean. He didn't mean to kill 2 of the most lovable characters in the series. He's just misunderstood, and an edgy teen. Didn't you see how cool that Black Bridge 4 costume was? Come on, he's just misunderstood. Rashek's flute shows up in Well of Ascension. Now that I think of it, I wonder if it's the same flute that Hoyd has or gave to Kaladin. Maybe. Well of Ascension. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Because I remember that book. And that's actually the book where I transitioned to audiobooks. I'm trying to think back. Nah, I just don't remember it. Like I said, it must have been mentioned or something, and I just didn't even pay attention. It just kind of went over my head. Man, I should make like a video of all these little fun Cosmere facts. A lot of them I don't even know. I should ask you guys to highlight some to me. Yeah, he is older than 1,000 years. I mean, he's at least as old as any of the shards are, and I don't even know how old that is. Apparently, Elantris takes place like 4,000 years pre-Stormlight. Even further than 4,000 years. So, and we know that even by the time that happens, Dominion and Devotion were shattered ages ago. They were shattered before human civilization was a thing on Cell. And Hoyd is at least as old as they were, so yeah, Hoyd is very old. He was unconscious. Was he unconscious? Man, I'm kind of blanking on a lot of Cosmere things right now because it's been a long day and it's late. And I do think I need to research more on Hoyd. Yeah, Brandon would have to do a redemption arc really well, like extremely well, but I do think he can pull it off. What non-Cosmere works have you read? Which one is the best one? Well, I'm currently reading Wheel of Time. I'm on book 6, and man, book 4 was just so good. I can't think of I don't know if book 5 outdid book 4. I wouldn't say so. And currently on book 6, so I can't speak to that. I really enjoyed Wheel of Time book 4, sorry. I also really enjoyed the Gentleman Bastard series. I still have to read book 3. Book 2 kind of put me off a little bit, but I do want to read book 3. I also read The Witcher. The Witcher is good, but it's an acquired taste. Sapkowski's writing style is a bit weird. If Moash ever got out from under Odium's influence, I think he might just kill himself. Yeah, he might. That might work as a part of a redemption. He does something heroic, then gives into the overwhelming guilt. Yeah, I feel like he would probably just try and kill himself, but if there's a way to prevent that, then maybe there would be some redemption. And then maybe he still kills himself. We'll have to see. Yeah, see, Brandon is that kind of writer. He never just writes an evil character for evil's sake. If he does make you hate a character, like if he goes to painstaking effort, like he does with Moash, he's going to do it to make you, to eventually change your mind. If not just because he can, but to also kind of add that depth to the characters. How behind am I on chat? Oh my gosh, I'm really behind. Just give me a sec, guys. I'm trying to catch up. Everyone hates Moash, but almost the exact same thing happened to Marsh, and people love him. Moash is not innocent, but is not entirely guilty. Did Marsh kill any? Like, okay, so Marsh killed Elend, right? But he was being controlled by Ruin. Like, I don't think you think you can kind of compare the two, because Marsh never willingly attacked or killed any of the main characters and people that we know and love, and that's his friends. So I don't think you can really paint them with the same brush here. Yeah, we don't know exactly how long it's been since the shattering, but I mean, it's been 4,000 years since the Oath Pact was broken, right? And that in itself was many thousand years before the first desolation, which in itself was many thousand years before the first humans arrived on Ashen, which could have been any amount of time before the shattering. So, yeah, Hoyd is really old, and it's been a very long time. Maybe we'll eventually get a solid number on it one day, but I think Brandon's kind of keeping it vague just so that he can fit in as many stories as he likes. I'm in the same boat as you with the Gentleman Bastards. Can't wait to read the third. Jean is my favorite character. Yeah, Jean is the kind of character we all need in our lives. I really liked the first book, and the second book, I like pirate stories, but don't give me a pirate story and then end it the way you did, where everything regarding the pirates was kind of a whole waste of time. And that just kind of put me off, because it's like you messed with one of my favorite subgenres of fantasy, which is like pirate fantasy. So I'm like, it's going to take me a while to get back to that book. I do intend on it. It's on my list, but I'm just, every time I look at it, I'm like, I could be doing Wheel of Time, so I'll do that instead. So, but I'll get there again. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Marsh constantly tried to fight Ruin's influence, whereas Moash kind of just decided that I want to do these things or I'm down this road anyway, so take away my guilt and pain and I'll just keep doing it. So, well, I don't think we can kind of compare them. Let's see. That is also true. I doubt he was immortal at the time, but we also don't know how old they were, how much magic they had in them that could have maybe extended their lifespan. Maybe back then humans had a longer lifespan than most or something. I don't know. So we have no way of knowing how old Hoyt is. And I love how in Stormlight, now that I'm thinking about it, like when Shallan sees Hoyt in... It's not Words of Radiance. I think it's Oathbringer. Because I think it was yeah, it's when they were infiltrating the city. Because I'm trying to get my facts straight here. So they were in a restaurant or something. Yeah, so it was Oathbringer. And she like looks into his eyes and she can kind of tell that he was old when the mountains on Roshar first formed and the heralds still walk the earth. Like he was ancient then already. So it's like Hoyt is really old. He's like probably the most ancient being other than full-on gods. Who do you think will die in Book 5? Kaladin. Kaladin will die in Book 5 is probably one of my biggest theories. He will finish his character arc, swear his last ideal, kind of become a, what's the word, a martyr in a way for the Windrunners and the Radiants as a whole, in proving that this great person who did everything to protect people and got to the last ideal of protecting all the people that he could, eventually was killed by this conflict. And that's going to be a huge message to a lot of people, and he's going to kind of be seen as a martyr. That is my theory. I think Dalinar fails, and I think Kaladin dies. I hope it doesn't, but that's... we don't always get what we hope for, so... let's see, am I missing anything here? Dude, I just read Shadows for Silence in the Forest of Helen was so good, freaking scary. Yeah, it's such a good story. I really hope we get more. I love the setting, I love the story. Man, I did a video on the Shades. It actually got a lot less views than I thought it would, but I think not a lot of people have actually read the story, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, definitely one of my favorite Cosmere worlds, and one of my favorite Cosmere stories. I hope we get a lot more of it soon, or at least at some point. Have you seen the sample chapter from 6 of the Dusk sequel? Pretty hyped to see that Rasharan vs. Scadrian Cold War and the shotguns. I actually haven't, because I wanted to keep myself spoiler free for it, but considering how long it's going to take, I should probably look into it. I haven't even looked into the prequel for Wax and Wayne 4, because I'm like, I like to be as fresh as I possibly can. I mean, for someone who does content on the Cosmere, I do still try to prevent spoilers, and even though I'm gonna hear some details through the grapevine about, like, I already know that the prequel for Wax and Wayne 4 is from Wayne's perspective, and his mother features in it, and it's when he was younger. But that's as much as I know. Like, I try to the best of my ability, keep myself spoiler free so that when I read it the first time, I still get that same experience that you guys would get if it's your first time as well. So I have not read that chapter. Let's see. Hoyt will turn 69 millennia years old soon. That's why everyone's trying to get him before he gets too cocky. I don't think that Hoyt even exists on a scale that you can measure his cockiness. He is just pure cockiness, and arrogance, and sarcasm, and wit, pun intended. Let's see. Kaladin lives, motto lol. But Dalinar is as good as dead, and maybe Adolin. I don't think Dalinar's gonna die. I have a strong feeling Dalinar will see the end of Stormlight, and Adolin will also see the end of Stormlight. But Kaladin, I have a feeling that Kaladin's definitely gonna die. Yeah, see, as much as we don't want Kaladin to die, I would not put it past Brandon to just pull that on all the fans. He's not the kind of writer who would shy away from it, and if he wants to make Book 5 as an ending compelling and striking for the reader, that's kind of the direction he's going to have to follow. Yeah, I probably should check it out. Like I said, I do try to keep myself spoiler free, but considering that we don't know when the sequel is coming, I probably should. I didn't even expect there to be a sequel to it, so I'm definitely excited for that. I think people before the Shattering were more invested, and I also think people on Yolin could manipulate the surges, and that's where surge binding comes from. Yeah, I think I read something about that as well. Obviously, nothing's been canonized, but that's also what I've seen, so I can confirm. Anyway, we've been going for about like an hour and 20 minutes, so we'll give it another 10 minutes, and then we'll wrap it up. So if you guys have any further comments or questions or anything, do get them in now, because we'll be wrapping up in the next 10 minutes. My voice is very raspy at the moment, my throat is dry, and I'm tired, and we've been going for a fair amount of time, so yeah, wrapping up in 10 minutes, guys. Let's see. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that Adeline might live. I've been so nervous about that. Yeah, honestly, we are getting more Adeline chapters, more involvement from him, and I do see him having a more active role with Shallan in book 5. But honestly, I don't foresee any like, other than Sanderson maybe wanting to kill a side character for having just to have that dread at losing a character we love, but it's not someone that's so important that it would be such a blow to us as readers. We already had that with Teft, so book 5 is going to have a much bigger impact death, and that's going to have to be a main character. That would be Kaladin, in my opinion. Kaladin is definitely on the chopping block, and Adolin feels pretty safe. I would be confident. I would say I'm 90% to maybe even 95% confident that Adolin's going to see book 10 of the Stormlight Archive. And we know Yasna is, because apparently her POV book will be the 10th book. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident that Adolin will see the end of the Stormlight Archive. This stream felt quick. Didn't notice it's been over an hour. Yeah, it did actually feel quick. When I looked at the time, I'm like, oh wow, we've actually been going for a while. The only thing that made me realize that we have been going for a while is my voice is getting a bit hoarse. Okay, you guys are getting all your questions in now. Okay, I've avoided asking, but I have an urge to know. Interested in Malazan? Oh, for sure. Definitely. Malazan, like, after I finish Wheel of Time and get a couple videos in and do some other shorter fantasy series, the next big thing, like huge thing that I'm tackling is Malazan. But that'll probably be next year, maybe second half of next year. But yeah, I'm definitely going to tackle Malazan, and I don't know if I'll do the whole expanded universe, but definitely the core series. I want to see how Maya's story resolves. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to get a lot about that in the next story, considering how Shallan is somehow slowly but surely revitalizing her Deadeye Spren, and with Adolin kind of pulling that same kind of thing out of Maya slowly but surely. I do think we're going to see more of that. I think that because the two Yolish magic systems we know about, Lightweaving and Microkinesis, are very similar to surges of illumination and cohesion. Yeah, like I said, I also kind of don't know if I read it or heard it from Brandon directly in a video or something, but I do think that he mentioned essentially that surge binding is very close to the Yolish magic, and obviously Yolish magic kind of is the grandfather magic of all magics, but Rosharan magic is based off of Yolish magic, whereas Scadrian magic is kind of something unique, especially because the planet was created by Preservation and Ruin, and Warbreaker is very much in line with Endowment's intent in terms of that magic system. What else am I missing? Cell is just a bunch of weirdness because of how their cognitive realm is just smashed with Investiture, but of all the planets that wouldn't have a direct change to their magic system, Roshar makes the most sense in that it's kind of like an ancestor. The Yolish magic system is an ancestor of it. Man, my voice is really going. Let's see. Fingolfin, hot take, Rock should die in book 5. No, I disagree. Please don't kill Rock. Rock is bae. No, don't agree. Rock must live. Oh yes, can I get a chapter from Maya's POV? I don't think we will, but I do think we're going to get a lot more from Maya in terms of her communication with Adolin. But I highly doubt we'll get a Maya POV. Though in all fairness, if we got a Chiri POV, I wouldn't put it past Brandon. I tried Malazan several times. Just can't get into the first book. I had the same problem with Dune, but once I pushed through it, it was totally worth it. Yeah, I've heard that the first book is like the hardest one to get into, and apparently it's the make or break right at the beginning. So I'm like, okay, wow. But if there's a proper audiobook series for it, that might help, because I found that audiobooks really help. So I don't know, but I'm determined to read Malazan because I've heard a lot of good things, and it's this big universe you can get into. So yeah, definitely. Intent is everything in Cosmere Magic. Yeah, you can pretty much there's intent in every single Cosmere Magic system, whether it's automatic intent, built-in intent, or specific ordered intent from the user. There's always intent in Cosmere Magic. Malazan is one of my favorite series. I've started with one of the Exo-ended Universe books. Don't remember which series though. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get into the Malazan universe. But like I said, I want to finish Wheel of Time first. My hottest take ever. I liked Elantris more than Mistborn Era 1. Okay. I know I need to finish the stream, but I do need to say, you are wrong on so many levels. Not that you are wrong for liking it, but you are kind of wrong for liking it. There's just no way that I can see Elantris being better than any book in the Cosmere. And Jackie from Me, My Skirt and I will fight me on this because she likes Elantris, but I just can't. It has too many problems. There was only one likable character out of the 3 POV characters, and that's because that's the only one who had a freaking plot line. And then you also had the I don't want to say it's poor writing, but the writing definitely wasn't up to Sanderson's usual standard. And then you also had the issue of having the Sanderlanche happen like almost on the last chapter, having no like falling action. You have the issue, like I said, with Raoden and Serene that have no character arcs, which doesn't always have to be the case. You don't always have to have a character arc, but just the things that they go through, and then they don't change at all, and then you still have to kind of believe them and still kind of like them. And Raoden was never really that likable, and nor was Serene. Rathan was kind of likable, but I mean, I also wonder, do I like him because of my comparison to the other two? Would I have liked him less if the other two were actually good characters? So no, I disagree with you. I don't think that it's better than Mistborn Era 1. If you liked it more than Mistborn Era 1, I say you need to reread it. That is just heresy. I'm going to move on. I've heard that a lot. You can, if you can't get past the first, try the second book, see if that helps. I wouldn't do that. I don't want to skip around. I know that apparently the first book is is a book on its own, and it's difficult to get into. And then book 2 is in the same world, but like a continent away or something that has nothing to do with book 1, but like it ties in later. And I'm kind of up for that experience, that weirdness. But like I said, I'll wait till I'm ready. Yeah, Cell is weird because of what Odium did. Do you think Nalthus was created by endowment? I think Brandon mentioned there's one more world created by shards, and Nalthus to me makes sense. Do I think that? No, I don't think Nalthus was created by endowment. I'm pretty sure Nalthus was already there. If there's a world that's a candidate for being created by a shard, I would say maybe Ashen or Braze. Like, it'll be a world you don't immediately think of, but you can kind of see how that might have been a world that was created and like as a failed experiment in a way. And Scadrial very nearly too was a failed experiment in creating a world and was only saved because of Say Z. So yeah. Let's see. Oh gosh, you guys are popping off. All talking about Sabrina's hot take. Yeah, that was a terrible hot take, Sabrina. You should feel bad. Man, you guys are going off on Sabrina. Poor Sabrina. No, wait. No, not poor Sabrina. She had a very bad take. Alright. Anyway, guys, that's been the 10 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much for popping in and for coming to chat. I appreciate all of you. I'll probably see you guys next week. I am moving at the end of the month, so I don't know if that's going to mean a delay in more streams coming out afterwards. I'll give you guys an update next weekend. We'll have to see. But yeah, thank you very much for popping in. Thank you very much for being active participants in chat. Good night to everyone. Thank you very much for watching. My name has been Raven, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, everybody.